But this is the first time I'm performing here at the Partisan, and I want to tell you guys a little bit about myself. So to start off, due to the pandemic, like some other people, I've suffered from becoming single. Turns out when you're in the same room as the other person 24/7 all day, all the time, sometimes some issues can arise that didn't happen before. And in that time, about a year now, and being single, I've learned a lot about men and women and everything in between. In particular, I learned a lot about men and how silly we really are for the most part. In particular, I learned that Jesus Christ, I have no idea how any of us find women because we have the worst advice to give to each other. One of my favorite bits of terrible advice that I received was in a group chat with a friend of mine, John. Sadly, he's not here tonight to accept my criticism of him. But he told me, hey, to the rest of our group chat, you should go to Target because clearly there's a hot women to guy ratio of like 6-1. So clearly go to Target, talk to these women. And I see some of you guys have like perked up and started listening to me. That's a terrible idea. Do not go to Target and harass women. They're there to buy makeup and clothing and signs that say it's fall, y'all. Like they're not really there for our harassment. I hope you guys understand that. And I see there's like a couple in the back. I'm sure it worked for you guys, but not for the overall majority. But every now and again, I do get some good nuggets of advice from people. The only really good nugget of advice that I got was for sure using multiple dating apps. So, Tinder, Bumble, so on and so forth. But as you know how the great internet algorithm is, the moment you start looking at apps and stuff for dating, it'll start giving you targeted ads like other dating apps. And the most recent one that I got was meetgothgirls.com. And I see exactly. There's clearly a market for these things, but I have some pretty rough news. Studies show that on all dating apps, 20% of men talk to 80% of women. So 80% of men are having to fight over the last 20% of women. I know, it's terrible, isn't it? And so I look at these like extremely niche websites and wonder like, how does this like work out for anyone? Overwhelmingly, a lot of us are having a terrible time on these dating apps trying to find women and talk to them. So our thought process is, yes, let me use this app that's hyper niche for a high commodity type of woman. I'm clearly the right fit for here because like out of the grand populace of women, the goth girls are gonna really focus on me. Like, what's the thought process there, guys? And I don't understand it. And overall, there's a lot of guy thought processes that I just kind of don't understand. One in particular, and I'll admit, I'm also part of it. The story starts with me. I met a woman, and her name is exactly the same as my sister, which is a huge no-go. Relationship stops right there. But something that I thought was kind of odd and when the hypothetical was brought to me is, well, what if I had a brother named like Taylor and I met a woman named Taylor? Is it still okay? Where's the boundary line here? No idea. And then we kind of go down the unisex names. We get to like Sam, and Sam's kind of borderline. We get to Alex, that's also kind of borderline. But then you get to like Casey, and Casey is for sure a no-go. And I don't know why. Again, the male thought process is somehow escaping me even as a male. And something else that I always found really confusing is the boundaries that some men set for themselves. So ladies, if you like have a significant other that they'll let you, go through their phone, go through their boys group chat, and you'll see some really weird stuff like, yeah, man, I really want to fuck you. Like, I would suck your cock right now if you let me. But we go out of our way every time we see another guy with his fly down. We have to immediately tell him, put your fucking cock away. I don't want to see even the underwear there. And it's like, okay, so like when the lights are on bright, it stopped. We are not actually doing this. But then you see a guy like bent over with his ass crack hang out, not a single word is said. So you see some of these guys out here sitting down, some of their asses are out, and not a single one of you guys have helped them. No, don't understand. Yeah, and again, even men and women have some interesting boundaries. When I was a teenager, as many other people I'm sure here, tried some other drugs and stuff as teenagers. And for me at least, and for a lot of people I know, as a teenager, they knew some guy that could get them weed or heroin or something extreme like that. But alcohol was always the line. For some reason, we could never find the cool uncle or something that would give us the alcohol. Why is that? Why have the drug dealers said, no, this is where I draw the line? And you look into it, and you even get less time in jail for selling alcohol to minors. So what is going on here, guys? Maybe change your market a little bit? I don't know. But for sure, I just find that kind of odd. Another thing that I've learned when meeting a lot of women and like trying to get in their friend groups, so try and date some of the friends. Something I found about women is that they'll have a joke and it'll be funny and maybe it'll keep going for like a joke or two. But for some reason, it ends there. For men, groups of men, we'll have a joke and it will keep going and going and going till the point where it's almost not even funny. A good example is in my friend group. I every now and again bring up the idea. I don't know if you guys are from Merced, but there's the Nickel Arcade, this piece of shit arcade, and I just think, and I bring up the idea. Cyber Station, yeah, exactly. And I have my new idea of like, what if I were to purchase this business and just put a minimal amount of money into fixing it up? I think it could do well. And I tell this to my friends, and they find it funny in the idea of me buying this business. But then it keeps going. Like after like 30 minutes, somehow we have the business plan and like a new name change and how much it would cost if I actually contacted the guy. For some reason, we keep going. The joke is no longer funny, but we still love to keep it going as far as possible. Again, women don't seem to do this. Again, this is, maybe I'm wrong in that, but I've seemed to notice they laugh at the joke and then that's about it. And again, back to the internet algorithms, something I'm really interested in is autonomous vehicles, so like self-driving cars. I see that as like the future of our roads, and I think it's really cool. But on average, you see these videos of self-driving cars on the road, and a lot of them are really the same. They're a guy driving, and then using his cell phone and recording the self-driving vehicle and being like, whoa, look at this, there's nobody in that fucking car, that's so sick. And like, you always look at the comments under it, and the comments go, oh my God, that is so not safe. How could you even allow a car to have nobody in it? I'm clearly better of a driver than a computer. But like, they're commenting under a video of a guy driving and using his fucking cell phone and recording. Like, you see the irony here? And these are just the morons that make up our road all the fucking time. And while being single, I've been really into doing things that I haven't been able to do before when I was in a relationship. Number one being buying a motorcycle. So recently I bought a motorcycle. I love it. It's fantastic. But now that I'm no longer in a 2-ton like plate of armor, you notice more bad drivers on the road and more near-death experiences about that. And one of the near-death experiences that I suffered, actually the first one, really made me realize I'm in a different stage of my life than I was before. So I was coming back from the Grapevine, so I'm coming up the Grapevine on my motorcycle, and there's high winds. I'm sure some of you guys know that there's high winds through the mountains every now and again. And if you don't know, if there are my bikers out there, in a high wind scenario, you're supposed to slow down or at least stop and wait for the wind to pass. I chose to slow down. I didn't think the winds were that bad. So I'm going along, and then a big gust of wind just pushes me over. And if you don't know, when you're leaned over really badly, what you're supposed to do is speed up, because the bike rights itself up, which is simple. So I just do that without thinking, speed up, but I'm speeding up. And I'm honestly just going even further, so the wind is going with me, just pushing me over, and I'm gonna fucking die. Like, I'm literally in the slow lane, and I'm getting pushed to the 4th lane. And usually, from what I hear of other people when they're in near-death experiences, they say, I'm thinking about my whole life, it's flashing before my eyes, I'm thinking about my family and leaving them behind. But for me, all I thought was, holy shit, man, if I fucking live, I'm gonna hit this fucking guy, I'm gonna call my insurance, I'm gonna have to deal with my insurance bill, it's gonna go up. Like, I've no longer given a shit that I'm about to die. My last thoughts are, how inconvenient is the world now? And I know for a fact, when I was like 20, 22, I never had these thoughts. I was just like, yeah, let the fucking car take me, let me die. So now life's way more inconvenient to me. But yeah, I do love motorcycling other than that. You meet a lot of really cool people. Motorcyclists are awesome people to meet. But every now and again, there are some really bad apples out there. And one of them I met, sadly. His name was Jose. Not going to give him his full name because that would be doxing him a lot. But his name was Jose. And he told me this absolutely terrible explanation of his views on the world and how he sees the members of the LGBT plus community as, quote, abominations and monsters. And that's absolutely terrible to call these people that. And I notice that a lot of people that are hyper-religious usually are using these words to describe them. And that's really not okay with me, especially because these are human beings. Words like abomination and monster, like Godzilla is a monster, Frankenstein's monster is a monster, Swamp Thing is an abomination, the last season of Game of Thrones was an abomination. If you notice, all of these things have one real major thing in common, and that's they're fictional. We're only using these words for fictional things usually, and these people are getting these opinions from usually the Bible. And to me, it seems like there's some kind of connection here that I'm not seeing between fictional items and then this book. I can't really make it myself. I wonder if the audience can themselves. But yeah, I find it really odd. Sometimes religion stops the furtherment of technology, but luckily that's not happening as much. Something I read in the news a while ago was the improvement in the ability to grow human organs and body parts. And my immediate thought was not, oh my gosh, there's so many life-saving operations that can be done now because we can grow kidneys and hearts at a will. No, my initial thought was, holy shit, I would love to eat a human heart. I finally get the opportunity. There's no moral dilemma here where I killed somebody or that heart could go. No, I paid for it and I ate it. I really want to know what it is now. I mean, personally, I feel like maybe that's me being fucked up or maybe a waste of resources. But come on, I feel like a lot of us have thought about it. What does a person taste like? And in particular, if they could just pick any stem cells, I would give mine. I would love to see what I taste like. I mean, it would hurt to cut off my own arm to do that. So I feel like this is a great opportunity that we're just not really using. But yeah, it's been really hard out here being single during COVID and especially coming out to bars. Luckily, recently we've been able to come, as we are here today, come out to bars and movies and clubs and parties and kickbacks to meet people, and I think it's great. It's fantastic. But I've realized in doing so that my relationship history has been long-term relationship after long-term relationship, long-term relationship. So now I'm 25 and I'm having trouble meeting some of these people and women, and especially meeting much younger women, surprisingly 21, 20, 22-year-olds, while they're only 3 years apart from me, for some reason I'm not really making that same connection. And again, advice that some of my guy friends have told me is it doesn't matter, if you have nothing in common or can't talk. And I think those guys are just in a different part of life, as I said. Maybe when they're older, they'll understand that there is kind of a mental difference between a 25-year-old and a 21-year-old. Not that I'm more mature than them or smarter or anything like that, because I'm definitely not. But we're just in different parts of our lives. And stuff like that really confuses me, because then I think about those terrible, terrible people who prey on teenagers. And when I was in high school, and some people here were in high school with me, I knew a lot of women that were girls at the time who were 16, 15, dating guys who were 25. And that's astonishing to me as an adult now. Because again, if I'm having trouble making a connection with the 21-year-old, what the fuck are they doing? Talking to these 16-year-olds. These guys are huge pieces of shit. But when I was a kid, when I was 15 and having to see that that wasn't my thought process. My thought process was, holy shit, how am I supposed to compete with that? That guy's 25, he's got a car and a job and a place, probably. Like, how am I supposed to compete with that? But now, I'm an adult. I know that's not okay. And I would say to anybody here, if you see a guy 25 with a teenager, beat the shit out of this guy. Like, beat the fuck out of him. Don't let him, like, live, honestly. But exactly. So, but anyway, thanks guys for listening to me. I have to go. My girlfriend has her senior picture day tomorrow, so I gotta leave.